Good evening and welcome back to the Minecraft Guide. Our adventure today begins squarely and solely in one spot and one spot only. Good old-fashioned red bed. Next up, immediately, it's about time we set our eyes, sights, and soul on something a little bit farther and wider. Okay, so thinking about my surroundings over here and what I do know about it for sure, unfortunately, the environment isn't exactly going to love this next part, but if our goal is to find a trial chamber as quick as possible today in this episode, and maybe even break our way into it, then we're gonna need to find at least a decent amount of sand. Bonus points if that decent amount of sand is like, you know, not under the water, so I'm drowning the entire time. But anyways, how have you guys been? It's been a minute since we're back in the guide. It feels so good and nice to get back into things. While I sail, wander around in search of a tiny bit of sand, I'd like to talk a little bit about this series and my next up big move and plan. So, cat's out of the bag. We're gonna find a trial chamber, move into that thing, and take it out. Right off the bat, our first trial chamber, I don't necessarily have any hard set goals like, oh, I absolutely need to find the base or an armor trim or anything. I kind of just want to check it out, have a little bit of fun, find one, you know how it goes. After that, I think it might finally be time. It hurts my heart to say. I get emotional even at the thought of it, but it might finally be time to go ahead and reintroduce ourselves to good old-fashioned, the trusty mountain base. I can't wait. But I like my eyes in this big search for sand. My ears are fully open as well. If there's a different idea, something cool that you'd like to see, you tell me about it down below. Now, I've been thinking about how we could go about unlocking our old armor, and I think maybe a valid challenge would be either just find the trial chamber, then we can get the armor and take it on, or B, defeat a breeze inside of the trial chamber. Either way, though, a couple of episodes ago when we built all of those beautiful farms over at the base, we unlocked all of our old tools to unlock the armor and the sword, the weapon, even though it's really not much. To unlock the most handsome set of armor and the sword, all we need to do is something with the trial chamber. So you let me know what you think about all of it down below, and unfortunately, sand. I've been wandering for so long. I found a spot that is like relatively close to Home Sweet Home. You can see Sky Tower over there, and I mean, it's got sand. We have some there, we have some over there. We have a little bit more right there that's really not that deep. I mean, it's gonna have to do. I picked this spot because it's kind of out of the way, and I'm never really going to actually come back over here and see it. The amount of sand that I'm looking for right now in order to pull off exactly what I need to pull off is approximately 2 stacks. But I guess now that I think about it, I need 2 stacks of glass panes, which means 2 stacks of solid sand blocks. That's gonna be like way more than overkill, but to be honest, I think I'm happy with way more than overkill. I mean, look, in life, you should never go into anything planning for failure, but in the odd, unfortunate circumstance that my villager doesn't cooperate, we might have to replace that villager and run it all again, and if I do, well, I won't have to go pick up any more sand. Sand, yes, more specifically, 2 stacks and a little bit more of sand, just the tiniest amount. In our big grand extravaganza from a couple of episodes ago, we talked about the very best starter farms for Minecraft 1.21. Inside of that episode, the extravaganza, we set ourselves up a small little simple auto smelter. And this small little simple auto smelter is exactly for this very moment right here. I think right now I'm probably just going to queue up about a sack of sand inside of the smelter because that stuff's going to condense down like crazy into the glass panes that I need. For now, that should be more than good enough, and if it comes down to it, I've got plenty of extra sand that I could smelt up for more glass. Now, another big thing on the menu here is going to be none other than a compass. Thankfully, fortunately for myself, earlier on, we went down to the mines and I found quite a bit of redstone. So a compass is not a problem. Last but not least, we will need approximately 2 stacks of paper. Now, when it comes to hunting for a trial chamber, in this video right here, I went over every single method that you could use to find it. Now, that's because, believe it or not, the method that I'm showing you today isn't the only way that you could go about finding the trial chamber. In fact, there are like at least 5 or so different other methods that you could try and use to find one of these things. The downside about today's method is if you're in your world and you have nothing at all, like fresh world, you're jumping at it from scratch. I mean, thankfully, because sugarcane is pretty easy to find, like just to explore, sail down your local river for a little bit of time, and I'm sure before too long, it might take longer than it took me after I set up this farm here, but before too long, you'll have your hands on at least 2 stacks of sugarcane. That's what you're gonna need. Getting your hands on the sand, I mean, that's really not bad either. You know, auto smelters are a dream. Why didn't any of you tell me to make one of these things earlier on in this world? It's so nice. With the glass that we have right here, what is that? 4 right there. That's going to be 1 stack, 1 more run. And I think technically, if everything works out, that might be more than enough glass. Oh, now villager, villager, villager. For this method, we will need little villager friend. A little villager friend. How have you been? What's up? What are you doing? There's I have a bit of a situation that I need to involve you in, don't I? Alrighty, so in the last episode, when we discovered our newfound friend, I proposed a challenge to you. The single most liked comment in the comments of that episode would be this villager's name forever. Now, there were quite a few really beautiful good names, but actually, to be honest, to no surprise, the single most liked comment on that video was Mapples Jr. I mean, really, it's a beautiful name, and it definitely makes me way less nervous than any of the other names you guys could have picked, but it's beautiful, it's perfect, and thanks for not demonetizing me with the name. Step number 1, find yourself a villager, bring that villager back over to your house, or just lock that villager up inside of its village inside of a house. While you're at it for this one, go ahead and make sure that villager is a cartographer villager. Now, every single cartographer villager, both versions of Minecraft, will always kick things off with some variation of these trades right here. We're gonna have a paper trade every time, then we'll have this emerald trade right here. For us, it's not even close, it's a no-brainer. The very first trade that we're gonna wanna gear ourselves up or ramp up to is that paper trade, because getting your hands on the paper that you need early game is insanely easy. Also, at the same time, while doing all of this paper trading business, we're gonna go ahead and get ourselves a little bit of emeralds. Those might come in handy later on. We'll trade with a villager until that villager levels up to its very first level. Then we'll check out this villager's traits. Next up, we've got an Ocean Explorer map. Oh, that's good. That's really good for the next one. You see, every single cartographer villager is actually not guaranteed to actually work for this. There are a couple of different Explorer maps a cartographer villager can sell, and let's say the cartographer villager's single eyeglass is only so big, it can only see so far. Next up, we've got this trade right here, and judging by the looks of my inventory, that slot right there, I've got tons of glass pane. We'll go ahead and start with this glass pane trade and take this. Now, this glass pane trade, always the experience gained, amounts, everything like that, is going to be the same every time. That will mean that if I have just over a stack of glass panes, I'll be able to finish the second level of this villager. And the moment of truth, the dramatic music, yes, please work, please. Oh, I didn't even have to beg you so dramatically. You just work. You love me. We're best friends. And every single map in the world, you've got it, buddy. The Journeyman level cartographer villager is the level of villager that will sell a trial chamber map. If it's not in this level, well, I don't want to say it down there around poor Mapples Jr. Upset the villager and all, but if it's not at the second level, the villager done, gone, so worthless to you. Then you need to start the op all over again. Hence why it is a beautiful idea to prep a little bit and build yourself a wonderful farm before you take this job on. Alright, I can't believe it. We've come so far. Sweet Mapples Jr., you're like the best and most useful one. As soon as I buy this map, well, really, as soon as I start trading with this villager, the map and where it's going to send me is locked in. The cartographer villager, when it sells you a trial chamber map, will always sell you the same trial chamber map, and that map is going to lead you to the closest trial chamber to where that cartographer villager resides. Unfortunately, that does not mean you could say lock a cartographer villager and trade with it, get it at this house, unlock a map, then say maybe move it a couple of 100 blocks and do the same thing with that same exact villager. But once the trades are locked in, they're locked in forever. And even more so, once these trades are locked in, a map is a map, yes, but technically, you could kind of almost think of every single map as an individual different map that will lead you to a different location. It's almost like a different item, if you will. That means, unfortunately, nothing this time, but that means once a villager's map trade is locked in, that map will always be the same map every single time, no matter where you put that villager. Alright, so that right there, that's just about all we have to do to speed run our way up to a trial chamber map. Now, to find the trial chamber, once we have the map, that's going to be pretty easy as long as we're close, which almost always, because of how the trial chamber generates, we're almost always going to be close. You see, with the help of Minecraft to Java Edition and chunk borders, we can see how this world is really built. Inside of our world, we have areas called chunks. A chunk is a 16 by 16 block area. In any given area that is 500 chunks by 500 chunks inside of our world, we are guaranteed to have a trial chamber somewhere inside of it. That'll all amount to basically the trial chamber being a relatively common structure. Even though you can't necessarily see it, just know that it's always basically going to be there. Alright, now map, a little bit of a pro tip guide here. If you're on Java Edition, you have easy mode. If you're on the bottom of the map, like I am right now, that means to get onto the center of the map, I need to head north. On Java, if I hit F3 and look at that line of information, I can figure out which way I'm facing pretty quickly and find out the north is definitely going to be over that way. If you're on Bedrock and you don't have that HUD, well, remember that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And if it rises in the east, turn left in 90 degrees, and that way is going to be north. To figure all that out, of course, pretty straightforward. Just look at the sun and watch which way it's moving. Dear Bonzo, I salute you. By the time you see me again, I'll be a new man, fully armed up, geared up, hopefully at least, but at the least, we'll locate ourselves a trial chamber. Before we head over to this trial chamber, I need to make a couple of preparations, though. I don't exactly know what the plan is today. Do I fight the chamber, break into the chamber, take a breeze out, and then come back next episode with armor? Because that's the thing. If I do that, then I'm going to want to go ahead and bring a couple of extra supplies. I don't have tons and tons of stuff here, but at least a little. Definitely, for sure, though, no matter what, we're going to want to bring a bed. I mean, I'm not planning for the worst. No, absolutely not. In fact, stop thinking about that. You're putting it into my brain. No. Alrighty, so let's figure this out. With our spawn set over here at Home Sweet Home and our map and our offhand, we can go ahead and see a little bit better. We can see pretty clearly that we're on the bottom of the map, which means we need to head north. And if we need to head north, by my calculations and where the sun's positioning is, north should be out this way into the water. And sure enough, pretty much immediately the map begins to fill in, and I'm on the map, baby. That's it. It's game. We're done. Alright, so I kind of got really lucky with this one too. My trial chamber doesn't look like it's going to be under any water too, which would make it way more difficult to actually crack our way into it. Instead, it appears that it's just going to be under this random mass of land right over here. Now, trial chamber gear, supplies that you want to run into this thing with. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about it probably in the next episode. But long story short, food. Have yourself more than enough food so you can resaturate your health as you start to take damage. We're going to be out of luck, big time, bad time, if this trial chamber is a bogged trial chamber, because that is going to be the one. That's going to be the one that's going to burn you through your food the fastest with that nasty, disgusting poisoning. Oh, looky here. That's interesting. So this trial chamber is going to move us over towards the village. In fact, we're going to be really close to it. Interesting. I wonder if I could maybe like cook up some kind of cool base idea or like an outpost or something over at this trial chamber eventually. Trial chamber map. As soon as we start to get closer and closer to that strange symbol, which by the way, I guess I should have said it earlier, but yeah, that's the thing that we're going for the trial chamber. Trial chamber. Where in the world are you sending me? Okay, so interestingly here, we have a little bit of an option. It appears that we have a cave right here, which means if I wanted to, I could try and follow this cave system and naturally find the trial chamber without any staircases. Either way though, what we're gonna want to do once we get closer to this symbol here is line ourselves up with it perfectly, but not necessarily be on top of it. At least if you want an easy way in and out. So while looking at the map, I'll go ahead and crouch and line myself up with my arrow pointing right towards the trial chamber icon. The side that you're lining yourself up with doesn't matter at all. Just line yourself up with the middle of that icon. After that, it's time for the good old-fashioned diggy. The fastest way to find a trial chamber, I mean, if you don't have a good pickaxe, you can find the chamber relatively fast, but the digging part is the part that is unfortunately going to clock you a little bit of time on your menu today. We need to dig all the way down and dig pretty far too. So here's what I was thinking. I definitely should have like pre-planned, thought about this one. I definitely have extra stone back over at the base. I didn't think to bring it, but I'm gonna get enough stone to make myself a furnace. Then after making a furnace, I'll place that furnace down on the ground. Inside of the furnace, put one piece of coal and put the rest of my stone. I want a stone cutter. It's all totally optional, and if it's a trial chamber that you're probably not going to come back to, don't even waste your time with it, but I want to be able to go up and down easily. Quick. Whoa. Wait a second. No way. I mean, I know they changed this 35 already. Oh, that's crazy. How am I so deep already? I mean, I guess I did start out a little bit lower, like 58 right here instead of a couple blocks higher. Wow, that was really quick. So the trial chamber, not only does it generate pretty consistently in that square block area that we talked about, but it also generates insanely consistently at about Y -10 or so. So you know what that means. We're gonna have to dig our staircase potentially pretty far down. Cave, schmabe. What in the world is going on here? Huh. Alright, so very carefully here. This could play into our hands perfectly, but very carefully here. We found ourselves a little bit of a cave. Taking a look at our map right here, we are right on top of the trial chamber, which means it could be literally anywhere. If we were a little bit deeper than we are right now, I would say run around inside of the cave and see where it goes. Maybe if we were lucky, it would lead us straight over to exactly our goal today. Unfortunately, though, I think we're going to have quite a bit of a ways to go, so I'll just go ahead and light it up and then keep on digging. Oh, I can hear it. I can hear it. I can 100% hear it. Use sounds to your advantage when you're looking for the trial chamber. If you want to, turn subtitles on and then go ahead and back out. The different things inside trial spawner crackles. You see it. I heard it. It's so subtle, but I heard it. It's also telling me that it goes in this direction right here. So that means somewhere right now, we're pretty close to 0, but somewhere right now, we're in the midst of a trial chamber. Now, what I think I'm gonna do, because I'm still, like, pretty far off, is I'm gonna go ahead and keep digging it down, but I guess I'll just, like, know that right here is about where I heard that trial chamber spawner. If digging down doesn't seem to lead me straight to copper or tough, I'll just backtrack and go up to there. But the closer you get to Y0, the more likely it is that you find the trial chamber. The trial chamber, when it generates, pretty consistently, is gonna generate at about Y -10. However, it does stretch up and down. If you see the structure, you know how it goes. So eventually, we're gonna want to keep digging down until eventually we find something that looks a little bit like tough. Well, the trial chamber. At last, I found it. At last, we've done it. Taking a look at the map right here, you could see, let me make that a little bigger for you. You take a look at the map right here, you can see that we've actually overshot the icon. And that's because the trial chamber structure is so massive. That icon is simply sort of like an approximation as to where it's going to be. Right now, too, I'm actually just barely past the stone range. Like, I'm not really even into the negatives officially. The trial chamber, once you find the tough, it's time to go ahead and break the tough. Advancement, I'm a professional. This tough should be a couple of blocks thick, but this should just be a wall into one of the chambers, A wall into one of the chambers for sure. This is a big one. We're gonna have to be careful. How in the world do I even get into it? Just think fast. I guess cobblestone bridge it is. Oh, I can't believe it. It feels so unreal actually being inside of the trial chamber, inside of the guide world. I've been dreaming and wishing of a moment like this for so long. Once we make it into the trial chamber, we are safe. 100% of the... Oh, great. Ugh, I hate everything at the bogged spawner. I hate everything. Once we make it into the trial chamber, we're safe, though. There are no outside mobs other than the trial spawner, like spawns, those mobs. What we might want to do here is backtrack our way up a little bit and grab some of our essentials here. Maybe set up a small base camp inside of the trial chamber. Go ahead and make that a little bit safer. That big, giant, long drop with no feather falling does, I will admit it, terrify me a little bit. But anyway, now that we've cracked into the trial chamber, as long as we aren't too close to any spawners, we should be relatively safe inside of this thing. We'll set ourselves up a small base camp and definitely make sure we set our spawn here. Now, fortunately, if you didn't have extra beds all over this thing, in fact, on the platform right down below me, I think there should be a bed, but I just don't have the means to get down there, so just trust me, okay? Here we are, we've made it, the Minecraft 1.2, what is that room over there? The Minecraft 1.21 update, okay, so that's maybe the official entrance room with the tree right there, that's very cool. Inside of it, anything good? No, of course not. I don't want to go too close to the bog spawner. The activation range is like 16 or so blocks, and yeah, I just don't want to deal with it. Look at that cool brand new shirt, that's fire. Going up this way, anything? Maybe, like perhaps a quick entrance to a room. Bog spawner, so close. A quick entrance to a room. All right, so we got a little bit of a spiral. This goes up. We can see where this goes. Maybe it, this is going to be the nightmare room with a million bogged. Oh, this is going to be so fun. This is going to be such a nice adventure. I'm so looking forward to it. Yeah, absolutely. For the next episode. The trial chamber, the fastest way to find it, that's how it's done. And thank you all for watching Minecraft Guide, episode number 82, or if we're like, since the restart, number 5. I kind of don't exactly know how to do the numbering, so if you know about that, let me know down below. To support me directly and get early access to every guide episode ever, check out my Patreon. For world downloads of this world, become a channel member today. In the next episode, I will meet you right back square right here. Until then, you have a good day. Goodbye, everyone.